I'm Dan, and this is 10,000 Hours of Indie, a podcast exploring new music and delving deeper into what goes on in the background of the independent music industry. I'm a musician and passionate music lover, and I wanted to delve deeper into new music in the independent scene around the world. I also saw this as a chance to help artists connect and share their stories, so if there's someone you hear and you want to find out more about, every podcast has links in the show description. Get involved, help this community grow, follow on the 10,000 Hours of Indie socials, you can find all the links in the show description. And also feel free to email me about anything music related, 10,000indie@gmail.com. I'm open to any ideas and love listening to your promos. The Magic City are a Boston-based four-piece rock band who released their debut self-titled album last month. Heavily influenced by early Britpop bands, especially Suede, this is a band of veteran musicians making music akin to what they grew up with, and it sounds great. I'm chatting with guitarist-vocalist David and bassist-vocalist Mike. Welcome to the 10,000 Hours of Indie podcast, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Daniel.
The Magic City is a fictional city that exists in mental spaces as a combination of the home of Boston and spiritual city of London, according to the press release. Tell me more about how you came to that name and what the band sort of means as a whole.
Mike was the one who pitched the name The Magic City. And I believe, Mike, if I'm remembering correctly, it's actually a misheard lyric, right, from one of our songs?
Correct. It's from Don't Forget Me When She's Gone, right? And the lyric is, we reference our model city. And I thought Dave was saying Magic City. And this is, of course, very early on because we didn't have a name. And I was just like, that should be the name of the band. And, you know, we were just like, we couldn't think of anything we liked better.
And I would also add that the more I thought about it, I thought that's the perfect personification of these sort of, let's say, locales that we create in the lyrics. That, you know, in my mind, for me, music is very visual and very much a dream state lyrically. And in my dreams, the cities melt into each other, places where I've lived or been. So there's, you know, Boston becomes parts of New Jersey, becomes London, becomes San Francisco, you kind of walking fluidly between these. And Boston, of all the American cities, I think Boston is probably the most closely linked to England. And there are a lot of commonalities between Boston and London, particularly in the names, because Boston is a capital of New England, and there's a lot of Old England in Boston. So you can walk through sections of Boston, and it wouldn't be surprising to turn a corner and find that you were in London. It's about as close as you're going to get, I think, in the US.
We'll delve deeper into your influences in a moment, but first I have to recognise how Suede-like some of this album sounds to me. And of course, in the US, it's the London Suede because somebody had already taken the name. So you've got sort of both guitar riffs and vocal styles from Suede in there. Suede weren't really a big band in the US, or still aren't really a big band in the US. So how did you get into them, and why are they so important to you and your sound?
I came to Suede when I was a teenager. I think what really struck me about Suede is it was sort of this is what I would have wanted in a band that I just could not find. It had elements of musical theater and then like punk rock, Guitar Hero rock. It was all these different types of music that I was listening to that I never thought could meet. And I had started singing, doing musical theater. So those were the vocals that I was being trained to do. And I always felt like I didn't quite belong in a rock band because I was a teenager in the 90s and grunge was king. So to sing the way that someone like Brett Anderson sings would have been quite odd, you know, in suburban New Jersey where I was growing up. And my brother gave me a copy of Dogman Star. I said, "You're going to love this." He said, "It's like Morrissey, just better." This is incredible. I mean, the band plays so hard. They're on fire. And there's sonic depth, and the vocals are killer. They're clever, they're biting, they're emotive. This was definitely what I wanted as a teenage me said, this is who I want for my proxy. This is who I'd want to be. And I think probably also what happened is a lot of the influences that I had as a songwriter were influences of these guys, you know, Bowie, certainly Beatles, Sex Pistols, stuff like that. But that's just my story.
So unsurprisingly, Suede came to me via Dave Jackal. I'd certainly been familiar enough with them being young as they were emerging. But my influences were elsewhere. And when I met Dave almost 20 years ago, or maybe 20 years ago now, this was a huge part of what he was about. And that's when I started listening more closely to Suede. Well, this guy, he really, when he likes something, when he loves something, he sells it. He sells it well. So I got into it.
We saw them in Boston. They did a tour. It was like their first one in like over 20 years. They came to Boston, and all the faithful came out to see them. They did a spectacular show.
So how about other influences? You've also mentioned Bowie, and of course Bowie was a big influence on Suede, so that's sort of in the same group. But how about things sort of outside of that box of sound?
When I was younger, I loved the Pixies. Dave has told me he also, I know he does as well. And in fact, I went to the U2 Zoo TV tour. I actually went twice in 1 year because they did an indoor leg and an outdoor leg. And the indoor leg, I actually didn't go to see U2. I went to see the Pixies. It was great. And I loved it. It was a little sad because there was this, 15,000 seat arena. And, me and my friends were singing along to all the songs. And so these other people just weren't caring. It was too bad. They were about to break up too after their fifth record there. And along those lines, the sort of, I guess what we would call the college rock scene in New England, or actually across the U.S., but in particular, Brown University in Providence had a great radio station, WBRU, and they were big on the Pixies. They were big on REM. They were big on Depeche Mode, who I think is also Depeche Mode was actually the first concert I ever saw without adult supervision, and I didn't know I was going to like it, and I absolutely loved it. I was just like, I was basically there to meet girls. And I was just like, yeah, 3 guys with synths and a singer, it is, but no, they were incredible. Eventually, the kind of bubblegum pop stuff that Weezer brought back to the table in the mid 90s, and then got even cooler with Pinkerton. And then right around that same time, Radiohead.
There's influences everywhere. I wouldn't list Stone Temple Pilots as an influence, but they probably are. I listened to them a ton in high school. The other 2 big ones for me would be Jane's Addiction, which I think actually have some similarities to Suede in terms of the theatrics and the interplay of light and dark, although Jane's Addiction never really kept it together. I actually saw what's almost certainly the last Jane's Addiction show ever in Boston. I had front row seats, and it turned into a punch, and then I think that's the end of the band. So.
Yes, I think the rest of the world have seen that clip as well. And you were actually there for that.
My wife and I were there, we're watching this, and I said, well, I think that's it. That's the end of Jane's Addiction. At the very start of the show, I said, something is not right with this guy. But when he was on, he was spectacular, but that was years ago. The other big one for me would be Luke Haynes and the O-Tours. A lot of Luke Haynes' stuff, although I haven't paid much attention recently. I thought that he just had this incredible knack for understanding pop hooks. I was surprised the O-Tours never got bigger than they did. It might have just been that that his writing, I think lyrically, was just kind of too niche. Although I think Black Box Recorder is touring again. I like Patti Smith, Lou Reed, stuff like that. But no, I think Suede, Jane's Addiction, and Pixies sort of encapsulates it for me.
Just the last thing with Suede for you for now.
Yeah.
Best Suede album.
It's Dogman Star. What do you think? You're a fan. What's the best one?
Dogman Star is the finest body of work they did when they were together the first time. Mm-hmm. I think The Blue Hour is a magnificent album. And that was the album that got me back into them after they'd split up, because they did an album or 2 before that when they got back together, and I wasn't really feeling it, but The Blue Hour felt like they were completely reinvigorated and they were back as Suede. Yeah. You've got the 2 distinct periods as well, because you've got the Bernard Butler period, which was the first 2 albums where he created the sound, and then you've got Richard Oakes, who is the dullest performer live, but an amazing guitarist and mimic of Bernard Butler's style. And I think The Blue Hour was the first album he really came into his own and created something of his in the band. I think until then he had very much been just doing what Bernard Butler would have done.
I think that's a great observation. But the Blue Album, that's the one with it gets almost proggy in a very good way, right?
I love prog. I'm a massive prog head, so for me, that was exactly the reason I like that album.
Yeah, I think that's a great observation about him coming to his own there. I like that one. There are a couple of real standout tracks for me. I love the theatrics of that one. I like how it opens. That's the one that it's like it opens with almost like a chant, right? And then that is good. I'm going to listen to that again today. I would also say, this is sort of cheating, but I think the disc 1 of Sci-Fi Lullabies is fantastic. That's all these B-sides that in a different world, that would have been a best hits album.
Well, for any other band, that would have been a singles collection, wouldn't it? So
absolutely.
You've all been making music for quite a while in other projects and things, because no offense, you're no spring chickens like myself. You've been around the block musically. So where did this band begin? What was the sort of key moment that you went, why don't we start a band together? Because you must have known each other before you started the band.
The rest of us met Mike many years ago. We have played in a band called the Daily Pravda for many years. Me, Adam, and Ken, and 2 other guys. And this band, I would say, in a nutshell, is like 70s Bowie plus Radiohead and a few other things. And we had come to Mike to master our first EP, and we liked him so much that we ended up recording all the Daily Pravda records with Mike at his studio, and he effectively produced them. And he would contribute creatively, and I learned a lot from working with Mike. And then the pandemic hits, and everyone goes to the bunkers, and that compounded with me having a newborn, basically stopped playing for like two years. And coming out of that, I had this real need to write. And I was talking to Adam, our guitarist, and Adam said, hey, what if we start a new project so we can like get that new energy back, And because Pravda had like 40 songs, we were not incentivized to write new material. I said, I guess, but who's going to play the drums? And he said, how about Ken? And of course, Ken is a drummer in the Daily Pravda. And I said, okay, but so is this just the Daily Pravda again? He said, we'll get a different bass player. And I said, well, who are we going to get? And I was thinking about who we knew. I said, wait a minute, but what about Mike? And he said, Mike's not going to want to play with us. I said, yeah, but Mike is a songwriter. He's going to bring songs to the mix. We can get like this Beatles dynamic going where we've got different songwriters. We can get some creative friction going. Like, he's like, yeah, but I don't think Mike really would want to do it. I said, well, I'll text him. I didn't even call you, Mike. I just texted you. And I think Mike's response was like, sure.
Yeah.
And that was the end of it.
Yeah, it was similar for me, pandemic. I mean, I had been and am still in another band called the Daylilies, which is very different. And I play keyboards, and I do contribute songs, but I don't get to sing them. And at that point, I hadn't been contributing songs, and I was starting to build a pile of songs. It just seemed like I missed playing the bass. I had primarily been a bass player for, I joined a band in college by telling them, even though I didn't know how to play the bass, that I would just play bass. And so this is my rock origin instrument, is bass. And so I really wanted to get back to that anyway. It was a great opportunity. I went in intimidated. I knew how good these guys could play, right? Like, I mean, I don't even remember how many albums. Is it 4 records or is it 5? I think it's 5, right? Daily Pravda.
Yeah, probably.
I had intimate experience in working on all of them. And I was just like, Ken is a machine on the drums. He's fierce. He's unique. He's a perfectionist. Adam also, just one of the great. He just shows up and plugs his guitar in. It sounds good. He plays every note exactly. He plays everything he wants to play, not a problem. And so I was just like, okay, yeah, this is, not only are these friends and I want to have fun, but this is going to really challenge me. I have 3 people I have to keep up with. And I think as a result, I got better. I hope I got better. And the 3 of them all, they're amazing also at positive encouragement, positive reinforcement. We're just like, Dave would just finish a song that one of the songs Dave's written, but I threw a new harmony in, and it's just like, wow, that was a great, do that again. You're singing really well. And so they really built me up. And I don't know, it was just a really great, it's been an outstanding couple of years here doing all that.
So last month you released your debut album. Tell me what the starting point was for the album, because you had already released a couple of the songs off the album previously, hadn't you?
Yes.
What was the process you went through when you were writing?
I think for this record, it was a combination of songs that I've been eager to finish with a band for some time. Adam had worked with me on a bunch of them. Those are my contributions. And then Mike brought 3 songs of his to the table. And we fleshed out, it depended on the song. Some of these, a song like I Love Lucy, I've been working on since I was 20. But there were others like Ozma Is My Shadow, where I had a really loose demo that I had put together a few years back. And I was kind of messing around with it in practice. And Adam was like, we should do that in the record, kind of as a joke, because we were going into the studio like a week later. And then it stopped being a joke. And like, let's just try it. Let's just finish the song and do it. And I think having the fire under our feet got us moving. And I think it's actually my favorite song on the record, in part because we really wrote that as a band. This was not a demo that other people came in to help finish. This was like the 4 of us, like, let's turn this into a viable song in a week. And it happened. And part of it was just someone would pitch an idea. Like Adam would say, we needed a bridge for the song. Adam would say, what about this chord? And we wouldn't know where to go from there. And then someone else would come up with the next chord. We'd figure out, basically how to make the transition dynamic. And I think that kind of pressure can be very good for creativity with the right people. I would like to do that with the next record. I would like to move very quickly and not think too hard so that you can get that energy going.
What was the most challenging song to make and why?
It was Lost at Sea, because I couldn't hit the notes. I repeatedly asked the guys, like, can we please change the key? This is way outside of my range. But the problem is the song is built around a very specific open chord. It's like the F something diminished. It's like the Porno for Pyros chord. Mike, what chord
it's like
is
an F sharp 11th. Play an F sharp and you leave the 2 strings at the top open, and it's
the same chord as like Rooster, Alice in Chains. A lot of 90s alt rock has this chord. And without playing the chord that way, it didn't work. So we try, live, I'll sing. Mike covers the higher part of the harmony. But I said, I really want to sing it. And I just like banged it out in the vocal booth many, many times. Couldn't quite get it right. I was talking about striking the song from the record. I was so frustrated with it. And Mike said, I'll just come over and record you. We'll just do it again. And I'm not advocating doing this generally, but I had a bottle of scotch with me. And I got a little more relaxed. I got my voice into a little better place psychologically. And we belted out, and I was able to hold the notes for the duration of the session. Wouldn't care to do that again, but we got it.
Well, I am glad you kept that track, because it's my favourite track on the album.
Oh, thank you.
I love the vocal harmony fade at the end. And that is, again, very Suede, because that's how the album we were talking about before, Dogman Star, starts, isn't it? It has the vocal fade in rather than an out.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, right. It's like a kind of a vocal loop, right?
Yeah. So how are you going to play it live then? Or are you just, that's not a live song, that's it?
Oh, we do it live.
I take the high part where, basically Dave is doing 2/3 to 3/4 of the lead vocals on these songs. It's like, it definitely allows me to save my strength, because that our range is very similar, like that I can hit that note really doesn't, it's not because I'm a higher tenor or something like that. It's just that I think I can save my strength for it.
So alongside playing on the album, you've also been very hands-on with the technical side of things. Mike, you obviously, that's your thing. You've been doing it for the previous band the other 3 were in. But you've all very much been quite involved in the tech process of this album. Has that made it easier because you've been able to do nearly everything yourselves? I
think the short answer is absolutely. Having recorded not just this band, but lots of bands for many years, it's not simply technical ability to get an album done right. It also requires like pretty serious stamina. Like I would challenge anyone to sit there for 10 hours and have somebody just recording guitar song after song after song after song and see not only how your ears feel, but how your head feels and if your mind is still working. It's a challenge. The same thing, gosh, if you're tuning drums for 6 hours straight, but having Adam do all of his guitars, he didn't do all of them on his own, but he did, gosh, at least 80% of them, I think. And, all 4 of us get engineering credit on this record because, of course, Dave did so much of his own vocals and Ken did electronic drum tech type stuff. I think all four of us have a technical side. I got only one time to watch Dave actually operate on a video shoot for his company. And I was so impressed. This guy knows everything, right? Like you want to do a video interview with somebody, he knows how to do it all. Ken, same thing. Just, incredible photographer, knows lighting, but they know this stuff in the music. I think we're all on some level a little bit of science geeks when it comes to that. And it's just another layer of fun. I love it. It's art, it's science. It comes together great.
One thing that playing with these guys has inspired me to do is it's learning out of necessity. I didn't study music production in school. I learned because I wanted to make music, and that was the way to do it. I've been teaching myself how to use synthesizers. That has been a very challenging experience for me. It's not the way my brain works. I got to sort of dip my toes with this record, particularly, the synth parts are, I'd say they're fairly buried in the mix. We use them to supplement. They're not the driving instruments. This is a guitar album, but I would definitely be keen to try using them more in the next record if it doesn't take away from the energy or doesn't create unnecessary layers. The same way you saw Radiohead really start to work in other instruments, starting with OK Computer, something like that. And this is also part of how technology has changed. I have with the Roland Cloud and Arturia, I've got all these virtual versions of these classic synthesizers. So all of a sudden, I've got a Juno, and I've got the string machine that New Order was using, all this other stuff. It's like, oh man, it's too much. But no, it's been a delight, and Mike has helped me pull back a bit from the edge because I think I went a little overboard on some of these songs.
Favorite track? I think you've already answered, David, because you said it was the first track of the album, didn't you?
Yeah.
I like New Eyes. And I like New Eyes because, to me, the way we sequenced the record, coming out of Chemicals there, it takes a breath for me. I love Adam's arpeggio. It's not complicated. It's not, some earth-shattering thing, but it's perfect. It makes me feel good. The struggle I have is that it might be the shortest song on the record. And it's one of those songs, I like it so much, I kind of wish there was more. But I'm also kind of glad that, the old philosophy, leave them wanting more. Like I'm okay, if I want more, I'll just play it again. Playing it live is a lot of fun too, because we go from real quiet to real loud. It's a great energy.
David, I've read that you think you've got several more albums in the tank. So by that, do you mean there's already a whole bunch of songs written, ready to go? Or does that mean the ideas are there and you guys are ready to get in the studio and start going again and creating new material?
The four of us already have other songs in the works now. We actually debuted a new song at our release party for a song that's not on the album. I'd say we've got, I don't know the exact number, we've got a bunch that we've been working on in practice for the next one. In my bank of demos, ranging from here's a verse, a chorus, and a couple of hooks to here's a fairly fleshed out song. I mean, there's like 30 plus songs that I feel like I'm ready to pitch. But once they get into the mix, I have to let go. And then, so it can take some time, because part of the joy of being in a band and the value is that you're getting all these different perspectives. You're getting someone to check your excesses and help create more dimension. In your own head as a songwriter, a song may feel like it's really so different from the other one and so complex, but to someone on the outside, it's like, they're all the same. Mike has been great because we have a lot of common ground as songwriters, but we're not the same. So getting his perspective has been very helpful. Ken, our drummer, is incredibly opinionated, strong-willed about what is good and what is not. And when he signs off on an idea, then I feel good. I'm like, all right, now this is okay.
I want to second that when Ken approves, it feels good. And then his enthusiasm doubles, and it's great.
David, you work in audiovisual stuff, but I noticed that the band don't have a music video for any of the songs.
That's my
Explain.
fault. Yeah, that's what everyone's been saying to me. I am actually working on one for Ozma's My Shadow. I've gotten pretty far with it, but then we had the release, and I wanted to use my time to create promo video, like short promo reels. It's hard to film yourself. I could do it for someone else. Some of it is I'm aware of all the possibilities of where it could go. So it's this desire to be a perfectionist. It's also hard to film yourself, but I did do it. I've recorded myself singing all of Ozma. We did several sessions with these guys. I have a deadline that's been imposed on me by our PR guy. I have to get it done by the end of this month. So it will be done. It may not be perfect, but it'll be done.
So you played an album launch party and you've played occasional shows since you formed. I mean, obviously you'd like to, but are there plans to have a tour soon?
I think it depends on if the right conditions are there. We had talked about going to the UK. That's a conversation that's about 2 weeks old, so I'm not sure where that stands right now, but I'd be up for that. Driving across long stretches of the US without a real plan in place doesn't appeal to me, but I'd be delighted to come to Europe and do that.
The final question, what music are you listening to at the moment that people who listen to the podcast may not be aware of and should take some time to check out?
I had been listening to a lot of Boy Genius and Big Thief, and they're nothing like us. Maybe Boy Genius has its moments. They can get kind of big and nasty, nice and loud, really energetic, really primal here and there, but not really. I mean, they're really mellow overall. Big Thief is just, I don't know what I love about them. I can't really articulate it. They've got so much material. There's like a lot of records, a lot of songs. I don't like listening to them for more than a half hour, 45 minutes at a time. It does start to get a little repetitive, but it's really unique and it's really honest. It's really analog, really, really warm. Like they could just be in your living room playing this song. And yet they sold out 2 nights in Boston at MGM at Fenway, which is like, I think, 5,000 people? They're coming in 2 months. I should see if I can get a ticket. Nope, both sold out. So they do the big rock thing too.
People have probably heard of the ones I'm listening to the most, but I'll just put it out there. I just took my older daughter to see The Last Dinner Party in Boston. I thought they were fantastic. I'll be interested to see where they go. I was talking to another guy who said he was kind of joking. He was like, okay, they're girl Queen. And I thought about that. I'm like, yeah, but they're also kind of girl Suede. Like, I think The Last Dinner Party, to me, if you took elements of Queen, but in terms of the guitars, Suede, there's like strikingly similar at times. And I just came across Shakespeare's Sister, who I hadn't really listened to when they were doing their thing. And I found myself really hooked on a couple of their tracks. It's not quite music that I love, but I don't know if you're familiar with them, Daniel.
Very, yes.
Very, okay. The song Stay, I love the bridge of that song. And I'm just frustrated that it doesn't happen again, because I think it's the best part of the song. There's all this build up, and then the song sort of turns and goes to this dark corner. And it's such a great hook. And then they just stop and they leave it and they go back to the song. I'd love to hear it one more time.
So for people wishing to find out more about The Magic City, their website is themagiccityofficial.com, which is 2 C's together, which always confuses me in a website. And they're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Bandcamp. The self-released album, The Magic City, by the band, is out now on vinyl and CD via their Bandcamp and is on all streaming platforms. David and Mike, thanks for welcoming me to your world, and I look forward to hearing more material, which you seem to be already thinking about working on.
Thanks for chatting with us, Daniel.
Yes, thank you, Daniel.